Alrighty. See if I can't make this work. Hey, I think it's working. Hey guys, I'm Ray. Welcome to the stream. We are streaming blacksmithing, probably. Hey guys, sorry about that scuff. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my OBS. It keeps crashing on me, so fingers crossed. It'll be fine. There was an update and I skipped it, but I don't know. It seems to be not liking me right this second, but fingers crossed, it'll hold out for the rest of the stream. All right, guys. Welcome in. Hi, Mahalo. Hello, Sandwich. Hey, guys. Lexi, everybody. Okay, so today we are going to be continuing working on our hair pieces. So we started cutting this through the center to create a giant O shape. So we're going to continue that. We're going to cut all the way through, open this up, and this is going to function with this as a hair tie. We're probably going to cut this a little bit shorter. It's kind of long. So we're going to work on that today. Once we finish that, we're going to start working on the other hair tie that I had planned for the day. On Wednesday, we will start our large project, which is going to be the raising stake. That's what I told you guys. So first things first, I am going to... Oh, the ad has been snoozed. Awesome. Thank you guys for that. I'm going to turn on the forge real fast, and we're going to start heating the metal. All right. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. It's been, it was fine earlier today, and now it's being crazy. So apologies for that. Okay. Almost voluntary. Nice of you to wait for me. Yes. All right. Got our forge up and running. Move it forward just a little bit. What'd I do? I think I dropped it. Did I? Nope, it's over here. And I'm going to put this in the fire. Awesome. Now I'm going to put my headphones on. And they're going to be so cold. So today, I swear, honestly, the reason I've got so much scuff today, I swear it's because it's the first cold day of the year. Or at least of the stream. It was cold yesterday too, but it's like 36 degrees here. Fahrenheit, that's probably about 4 degrees Celsius. It is super cold, and yeah, the equipment is not liking it. Hey Knots, welcome. At work, we'll be in and out. Well, welcome when you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. We do have an ad in the next 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, something in there. And that gives us plenty of time to heat up our steel. But yeah, it is super cold today, so I am planning on staying in the sweatshirt today. Hopefully, I don't have, because I hooked my my microphone in through the sweatshirt, so hopefully I don't have to take it off. I might be a little bit more scuffy later, but we'll see. Alrighty. Flannel is working. Yes, the flannel is working. I think it even matches. Like, it kind of coordinates my, tan shirt and my, dark gray pants and, all of this stuff. Ray is too. Yeah, I am working. So yes. um, so, I mean, this weekend was it went by like super, super fast. I just feel like there's never enough days in the weekend. So this weekend we spent a little bit of time doing some drone flights and kind of wandering around a little bit in the van, and we played a lot of video games yesterday because it was super, super cold. It's one of those things where like if you don't want to spend a lot of money, there's not a lot of places to go out and do things when it's super cold outside. So we stuck around home for most of the weekend. I did also do a whole bunch of grinding on our axe. After a refresh, she is there. Good evening, Sandwich. Good evening. I apologize for how much effort you guys had to, go through in order to get everything up and running. I'm not entirely sure why the stream or like OBS decided to crash, but it seems like it's working now, so that's really good. So yeah, like I said, I made a pretty decent amount of progress on our axe. So this is what our axe looks like now. So as you can see, I've ground off a lot of the forge scale. There's a few here and there, like dots, where I have like just an errant hammer blow. So the next thing that I really need to take a look at is the hole for the handle. And so I have to figure out a good method to get inside of here. Wow, nice. Looks pretty. Well, thank you. I'll talk a little bit more about this once the ad is over. It is cold. I don't like it. It's gonna be another one of those, like, gearing up for winter, and it's gonna be another one of those times where I'm like bundled up in my jacket and you can see my breath. I do actually have a couple things that I want to try this winter when it gets super, super cold. I'm going to be trying to I am using the wrong forge. So I will also, I have a plan for this winter. When it gets super, super cold, I will probably go inside the house, where I have the heater and stuff. And I'm planning on putting some of my jewelry and silversmithing stuff. Then showed Lexi all her forge welding problems were in her head. I did a stream on YouTube yesterday, but messed up both things I was making, and then showed Lexi all her forge welding problems were in her head. See, I've screwed up so much stuff on stream, and sometimes I'm able to kind of play it off and finish things and fix them, and sometimes, it becomes a giant disaster, but we try. I am using the wrong forge for it being super cold today. But yeah, I have a plan for this winter when it gets even more cold than it is now to go in the house and do a little bit of silversmithing and jewelry making. So it's not going to be the focus of the stream, but if it's too cold to be out here, we might go down and do a little bit of that stuff. I've got a few things that I want to show you guys. We'll probably do a little bit more vessel raising. That's kind of why we're making the vessel raising tools. But I also have some piercing that I would like to do. And piercing is basically you take a sheet of steel or, copper, brass, bronze, whatever a piece of sheet metal. And you drill a whole bunch of little holes in it. And you put a design on it, and then you start cutting out the little pieces. So you're left with the positive of your design. So, I've got a few of those that I'm interested in doing, and some other nifty stuff when it gets super cold and too cold to be out here. See, also diesel engines and even more electric cars. Efficiency is cold. If you use all energy for where it is expected to go and waste nothing in heat, you freeze. Yes, definitely. It wasn't all in my head. It just did it well. Yes. See, sometimes welding is very particular, right? You can be amazingly comfortable with welding and be like an expert at it. And one day, nothing works for you and your welds don't take. It's just really finicky. So yeah, like I said, I did a little bit of grinding on our axe. I kind of started making a little bit of a blade on there. You can kind of tell a little bit. And like I said, I want to figure out like a good way to file the inside of the hole for the handle. And I also need to take the sides of it with sandpaper and go up the grits. Right now it's just ground using the bench grinder. I did everything right except one thing. So I'm gonna change the view. That way you guys can kind of see, the state of it and a little bit closer. So I took all of it and I shaped it. I think I'm pretty happy with how it looks now. Like I said, there's a few errant hammer marks here and there, but I think that gives it character. I want to focus in on this hole right here. File that smooth so it doesn't start cracking my handles. But yeah, pretty happy with it. Okay, so our steel should be hot enough. We're gonna start cutting the opening some more. So let's do that. I just turned the thing back, and yeah, I don't know. Let me actually start the record feature. I was so into my problems that I forgot to hit record on those. Okay. See if we can get this out of here easily. All my tools are super, super cold, which means that we're not going to get quite as many heats, or I mean quite as much work done in the heats that we've got right now. But everything will start warming up, including me, as we go. All right, I'm going to go back for more heat. Let me put that there so that I can hold it steady as I go. Although it is kind of bent, so I think I'll have to straighten it out before I can start using that again. So yeah, like I said, the goal is to open up this piece of steel into a circle. The hair will go through the circle and then be held in place by our hairpin. Once that circle is completely opened up, we're going to use the anvil to kind of smooth it out a little bit. We'll heat up this stick and kind of straighten out that tail there. We've got a bend in it, and I wanna fix that. And then, like I said, we'll also probably cut off the tip of it and create a new tip so that, it's not super long. I have another hairpin that we're going to start after that is all done, if we can get that done in time. And that is going to be a 3-piece hairpin. 2 of these guys are going to turn into U shapes, scrolled U shapes. I'm planning on drawing these out so they are thin enough that you can squeeze them and turn them into a square knot. Once these 2 get turned into a square knot, we will draw out another pin here, and the pin and the hair will hold the square knot together. DM me your address to Facebook Messenger when you get a chance. I'll have to discuss that with you after the stream. We'll have to discuss, because yeah. But I will. I'll DM you on Facebook Messenger. That works. You'll send me a mail. I've been thinking about setting up a P.O. box so that people can send me stuff. I am a little bit leery about giving people my actual address on the internet. Because, I mean, you know, it's a little bit scary sometimes being on the internet and just, like, allowing people to know, like, where I'm at. I give you guys about an hour radius that I could be in, but, yeah. But I'll discuss that with you. We'll figure something out. So, yeah. Let's see. What else have I been doing this weekend? Like I said, most of it was just like, you know, grinding the axe and playing video games. So what did you guys do this weekend? Anything fun? Send me the butler's address then. Yeah, something like that. We'll work something out. I'll make sure that we can get together and do that. So yeah, spent the weekend sick. That's not good, Corwin. Just as you get your new press, you get sick. That's so sad. I would be so disappointed if I was you, you know, not being able to play with my brand new toy. I gotta be a little bit careful today. Like I said, it's really cold today, and I only brought out the Gatorade today because it is so cold, but I feel like I am habitually reaching for my drink and I don't really need it. It's just going to make me have to use the bathroom earlier. So I got to be a little bit, you know, a little bit careful about that. I'm not going to be sweating so much today. It's still in your van. I mean, at least you got it home, right? You can always bring it in next weekend or like later on, you know? Mahalo found all the things I forgot to keep from freezing. Ooh, I'll bet. So on Friday, I saw that the local news station was warning people that it was supposed to freeze this weekend and telling people to get all of their vegetation ready and stuff. Because, like, there's a lot of really finicky, like, plants that people often grow in the area. I mean, you know, there's the normal stuff like roses and tulips and things like that, but there's some other, like, you know, local varieties of things, and they were warning you to, like, cover that so that it, you know, so that it would survive the freeze. Greetings, Ping. And I just look outside and I'm like, yeah, we definitely needed that warning because it is freezing. Super windy too. I'm really glad to be indoors. I mean, it may not be a heated building, but it is certainly, you know, a wind guard. Did we get snow? We did not get snow. I heard that just north of us got snow. A couple of you were telling me over Discord that there was some snow going on But, you know, I didn't get any here. Just a little bit of frost this morning. All right, I'm going to do another heat. We got snow. Fortunately, it didn't stick to the roads. That's good. That's the best, right? When it doesn't stick to the roads. All right, back in the fire. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit of extra heats to do this because all my equipment is super cold. I miss winter already. I suppose it is like it's starting to get into like spring and summertime now in Australia. See, I'm jealous. I like spring and summer. I don't mind sweating my socks off in the shop. I would much rather sweat than freeze. I'm weird like that. Is it hard to get into the Christmas mood with no snow? See, I don't know. Like, we don't, I mean, I guess I do know because we don't actually get a lot of snow in this area. We get a lot of ice and a lot of hail, but not so much in the way of snow. We did get snow last year for about a week. It stayed on the ground. It was kind of crazy. But most of the time, we get hardly any snow here. And I guess I never really thought about it not putting me in the festive Christmas spirit. I guess I thought that because I don't have any kids, right? And none of my siblings have any kids, so there's like barely any kids in my family that I get to interact with. And so that is kind of why I felt like, you know, Christmas was hard to get into the spirit of because there's just no kids around. You know, there's nobody like asking about Santa and being excited for presents. It's like we go to my parents' house and we open up socks, you know? It's like in Texas in August here all year round. Wow. I mean, around here, it gets to be about 110 degrees outside, and that's Fahrenheit. So, I mean, it's relatively hot, but it's never quite, you know, all year round. You know, it gets cold. It gets really cold here. It's November and it's still fall. Yeah. So I was looking at the weather forecast for the rest of the week just so that I could kind of like decide how soon I need to bring my tools in the house. And in case I needed a like silversmith or anything like this week. And it says that it's supposed to get warm again tomorrow. So that is crazy. And I mean, you know, but I mean, around here, we get at least 170-degree day every month. So that's like, you know, your normal temperature, like 34 degrees or something like that Celsius. So it's relatively tepid. There's at least one every day or every month, I guess. I was working in the shop late one night when my eye is behind an eerie sight. Little pitter patters and clumps on the roof. Santa only brings me coal anymore, you know, because I'm a blacksmith and, you know, whether I'm naughty or nice, coal is in my stocking. 70 is around 22. Okay. See, I always like, because I am so inundated with Fahrenheit that it's really hard for me to conceptualize Celsius as like the, you know, associating the temperatures with the feeling, if that makes sense. I feel like I would love to travel around and get that association. It would make things a lot easier. Ray was raising from her slab and she started smithing with a jab. Hey, Bluesy. Hey, coal is good. Coal is heat. Coal is heat, and it's fuel for my smithy. You're the only person in the world who is internationally being naughty to get coal, or intentionally being naughty to get coal. I mean, like I said, it's fuel for my forge. I have a coal fire forge over there. This one is a gas forge. I like the heat. Is that from Monster Mash? It's hard. Fahrenheit is about how it feels to the body. Celsius is about how it feels to water. I mean, it's also how it feels to scientists, because, I mean, scientists always use Celsius and metric conversions for everything. So, you know, it's how it feels to a test tube. What is that with rhyming everywhere today? Yep. Something like that. All right, let's do another heat. I want to get this going because I want to get both hairpins done today if I can manage it. I told myself if I was good and, like, you know, finished all my stuff, then I'd allow myself to play a little bit of video games. Never mind that I'm going to do it anyway, you know. All right, more heat. I think we're getting a lot of curvature, so I'm going to straighten that out in our next heat before I start cutting it more. It looks like you're forging a piece of celery. I mean, I'm forging a really tiny piece of steel. I want to open it up into a circle, and then you can stick your hair through it. We're doing a hairpin today, or hopefully a couple hairpins. Celsius is the correct. Fahrenheit is just, I know. I've only seen people make the figure 8 style hairpin. See, I gotta be extra, you know? I could have just done the figure 8 style hairpin, you know, but I gotta reinvent the wheel. I don't know. I've always felt that while you can do the S hook or the figure 8, that's awesome and they're beautiful and people have done some amazing stuff with it. But I was looking up hairpins and I saw some really cool ones that were other shapes, and I just wanted to do one. So I don't know, if it doesn't work right, we'll just, you know, we'll take the 3 and we'll turn it into a figure 8 shape. I don't know, it depends. Hopefully it'll work, maybe it won't, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea how many barley corns fit in a Fahrenheit. I mean, yeah. Definitely. I don't either, you know. Fahrenheit, it's very finicky, you know, as far as, like, you know, a volume measurement. So I don't know. I'm trying a few things. We'll see if it works the way I think it will. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, you know. We're experimenting. The cap on this is really weird. About 23.7 cubic gnats at a standard pressure of 67.3 flubs per square gnat. I mean, that kind of reminds me of the fact that, you know, in the United States, people will measure things with anything but a mile. You know, oftentimes we like to measure things by football fields. Sometimes we measure things by using like blue whales. Anything but a mile, because apparently we just don't like miles. But heaven forbid we measure things in kilometers. That's just nonsense, right? Let's do another heat. And I promised myself that I was going to straighten this out before I started cutting more. Okay. Now we're going to turn this over. And it looks pretty straight, so I'm going to start cutting it a little bit. Not too many, because, you know, it's starting to cool already. All right. Mo heat. Or we're going to straighten it a little bit more. We'll do that first. Okay, there we go. Mo heat. What crazy person uses kilometers? I don't know. Maybe those like European people, scientists, the entire rest of the world. Nobody important, right? All right, we're changing camera views if I like don't knock it out of focus. Stay. Goodness gracious. Everyone except Americans. There's like one other country that also uses like, you know, standard, I guess. Like you just divide it by 1,000 and get some practical measure for smaller sizes. So boring. So easy. Everything in Texas is measured in time. It takes 6 hours to cross to Houston, 30 miles. Or is it 6 hours to San Antonio, 400 miles? Technically, even the people that use standard measurements after a standard measurement are defined in metric. Very true. I kind of feel like around here, we also use time as opposed to miles because traffic. There's so much traffic in the area with or you know, just around, that something that's like 30 miles could take an hour, 2 hours sometimes, depending on what time of day it is. So I would tell you that I live 4.5 hours away from my parents, but I live at the bottom of the state of Illinois and they live near the top. So it's, you know, it's 500. No, it's, I don't even know how many miles. That's how ingrained it is. The time is ingrained into our measurements. Yeah, Myanmar is another one, or another country that uses imperial standard. That piece has to be warm by now. I mean, it probably does. But I do have an ad starting in about a minute and a half, and I want to make sure. I don't know if I can beat the ad timer, so I'm going to wait until the ad is done before I start working again. That is the beauty of my gas forges. I don't have to worry about yammering until it burns. I get to talk as long as I want. In Iowa, I use miles, but in Illinois, I use minutes out of habit. See, that's how it works. We use minutes, and hours, not miles, for distances. And it's always car miles, not bike miles, not walk miles, car miles. Gotta make that asterisk in there. Of course, yes. We are a very car-dependent society here in the United States, Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy because, like, we don't have a standard, speed that the cars use too. So, like, when highway miles is different than in-town miles. In town, the standard is usually 30-35 miles per hour. Whereas on the highway, it's like 70-75 miles per hour. And so, an hour on highway time is more distance than an hour in town. I don't even own a car. True, I own a truck, a couple tractors, and a semi, but no car. All right, so we are on an ad break right now. I mean, I guess technically I don't own a car either. I own a van and a truck. I don't own a car. I feel like it is ever so slightly getting a little bit warmer, but I really feel like I should have turned on the big forge if I wanted to make it warm in the shop. It is still cold. I don't like it. Ooh, this block is getting nice and warm. It shouldn't seep as much of the heat anymore. So that's good. But yeah. And I'm standing here staring at the timer for when the ad break's going to be over. So technically, I also do not own a car. I own a truck and a van. So I have a Chevy Colorado and I have a Chevy Express. So no cars. We used to own a hatchback, but we got rid of it for the van. But I mean, we were having so many issues with the car, like the hatchback that we had, that it was destined for the junkyard sooner or later. We were having to put a couple $100 in it every so many months because it was eating through spark plugs for whatever reason. Coming from Texas with 80 and 90 mile per hour speed limits on 110 or I-10 and I-20 here. They are considering lowering the rural speed limit from 100 kilometers to 85, about 45 miles per hour. Wow. Always hauling stuff. I mean, with the van, we're hauling like a bedroom, like a hotel room, like the tiniest hotel room you've ever seen. with us everywhere we go. And then oftentimes when I'm using the truck, it's because I'm hauling steel or propane or wood or whatever, you know. I mean, we tend to use the van when we're getting groceries, but we could use, I have used the truck before. I'm going to do another heat. I think we're getting close to the bottom. Let's turn this over and take a look. You can kind of, when the light, when I tilt it back and forth, you can kind of see where the chisel is hitting the, or it's bottoming out. So it's getting really close. Hey, van life for the win. You need to put a hitch on your van and add a little trailer for metal. I do. We have talked about adding a trailer to the van to put a smithy in it so that we can travel with like a travel smithy setup. But that's going to be sometime in the future when we get a little bit more funding for the show. So, you know, when things start to support themselves, and it's starting now. You guys have been amazing, and we're getting trickles here and there, and we're starting to get to a point where I don't have to pay for every single propane anymore. So that is amazing. That, you know, that was my goal for the end of the year, was to not have to pay for every single propane tank, and we're getting there. Jet Pinky, hello. We are doing a hairpin, but I'm doing a strange design. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting open this piece of stock, and then or I guess I'm cutting a slice through it. We're going to go all the way through it, and then we're going to open it up over on the horn of the anvil, and it's going to turn into a circle. And then you put the hair through that, and we'll use this guy as the you know, to hold the hair in place. So the design is kind of, I took a little bit of inspiration from the newer black hole, simulated photos that we've been getting from NASA and some of the mathematicians around that. So it's kind of, that's my design inspiration, is a black hole. So it's a little bit different. Aha, you haven't seen a tiny room till you've seen my camper. I would love to see your camper. So, yeah. But yeah, we are almost through the slit that I'm creating. Then we'll open it up. I'll probably end up cutting the ends off. I've got a little bit of excess there. I don't want them to be that long on the outside, I guess. And I want to make sure that they're as straight around the diameter of the circle as possible. The interstellar depiction of a singularity. Yes. Yeah. And the interstellar depiction of a black hole is based off of some astrophysicists' mathematical equations involving some of the new readings that they've been getting on black holes. So it's not like, you know, a fact that that's what black holes look like, but it is a strong theory and a strong possibility. I got my computer audio working. I had to reinstall Windows. Well, I'm glad that your audio is working now. That's amazing. I mean, Windows does cause a lot of issues with sound for me, at least. I find that anytime I have an OBS update or a Windows update, I kind of have to rejigger my audio solutions. So I'm glad you got yours worked out. I got mine worked out at least temporarily this time from earlier today when I had to restart the stream like 3 times. So I apologize for that, but I thank you guys for enduring it. We're here and we're ready to go now. Why did you knock your windows out of the wall to put new ones in there? Yeah. I was angry. Punny, punny, punny. All right, let's do another heat. I feel like maybe instead of going the through between the horn and the post spice, maybe I should go the opposite direction. That way I'm not constantly hip checking the anvil. I'll learn my lesson eventually. All right. Let's pick this up and take a look, because I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm right. Looky, we have a smiley face going. I have actually made it all the way through, so that is super exciting. So the next step is to start opening this up. So back in the heat. Okay, well, that also happened. So I went around the heel of my anvil and knocked off my tools. So I don't know. I'll have to figure something out. From the windows to the, yeah. Reinstalling Windows. I mean, there's a design parameters for Windows was to let light in and keep the weather out. Why would you try running programs on that? All right, we're going to get rid of the piece of steel that's right there. So now I need to move the camera because I've changed the focus. So now I'm going to put this away over here. And that can also go out of the way for the moment. We're going to be focusing in on the horn of the anvil because we're going to be opening up that slit and creating the circle, the O. So I'm going to change my camera settings. We're going to move it down a little bit. And center the horn. There we go. All right. So like I said, we are going to be opening up this slit that I have created in our metal. Now I feel like everything is really low because I had raised the face of the anvil and now everything's like on top of the face of the anvil. So I got to figure out the best way to cut this piece of A2. I think that I'm probably going to have the butler help me, but I got to figure out how much of it I want to use. Do I want to make a big one? Like, you know, how long do I want this steak? So our next project, for those of you who are new to the stream or to the YouTube, is we're going to make a miniature anvil that's going to allow us to make vessel shapes in flat sheet steel. Or copper or whatever we want to use. So, right, I already have one that's about yay big, and it's for kind of shallower vessels. So it's kind of got like a blunted nose. So we're gonna make a really big round bulbous nose for this one, where the horn would be on this miniature anvil. So I'm debating how long I want to make it. Because the length of the steak is going to limit me on how big I can make my vessels, right? So if I'm starting to make a vase, I have to, the tip of my steak and or I guess I'm limited from the tip of my steak to the base that goes into like the hardy hole or the vise, right? So in the center of the anvil is like the base of it. And so I have to decide how long I want my vases, or I guess how tall I want my vases to be. So I haven't decided yet. I don't know that I want them to be a foot long, but a good 8 inches might be, it might be nice. An 8-inch tall vase, you know, like about yay big. That might be nice. I think a foot, or I guess that's closer to a foot. So I don't know, maybe 8 inches is about yay. All about that base. Yes. A foot long. Whose feet? Yeah, I know. So I guess ever so slightly shorter than a third of a meter. 8 inches, that's about 20 centimeters. Yeah. So that's kind of like probably the length that I'm going for. So that means that the overall length of the steak is probably going to be a little more than double that. So probably about 45 to 47 centimeters long. Somewhere in there. So that's kind of where my head is at. Like, is that too tall or is that too short of a vase, I guess? I mean, I can always make my vases shorter than the length or the distance between the tip and the base of the steak, but I can't make them much longer, you know, because I wouldn't be able to form the bottom very well if it was too long. All right. We're going to start focusing in on this project and opening this up. Let's see. I just put this away, but I'm going to use it again to kind of open this, I think. So by moving this in here, holding this and twisting, we can kind of see that it's opening just a little bit. All right, more heat. It's going to take a little bit more heat to open this. You know what I just realized, guys? Once I open this circle, it's not going to fit in the mailbox anymore. I would not put the hot metal on your wooden hammer stake. Yeah, I shouldn't have. I should have moved the hammer. Definitely should have moved the hammer, but I didn't because I was being lazy. Being lazy is no excuse for setting our hammer on fire. So after this heat, I'm going to switch forges from the little one to the big one. Because, like I said, once I open this circle, I'm not going to be able to get it to go into the mailbox anymore. So I might as well start heating up the big forge. Hi, Lazy. I thought you were Ray. I feel like I set myself up for that one. I have told you guys over and over and over how much I love dad jokes, and you guys just dad joked me. Burned hammer handles are the thing anyway. They are the thing. And this one, it's not been too bad, but it still has its varnish on it. So I haven't used it that much, so I haven't developed any calluses, or any blisters, but usually I do actually burn off all of the varnish on my handles because it does promote blisters. This one's not too bad, but a lot of times it does. Not sure you can get it in the mailbag box. Just hammer it back together. I prefer alive jokes. Something like that. All right. I'm going to open this up we're using the horn of the anvil. So I am going to change my camera real fast. And then I'm just going to do that. So it's starting to open up. We've got a nice happy mouth now. All right. I'm going to straighten this out just a little bit, and then we'll start up the other forge. Happy mouth. I got to be really careful, actually, now that I'm looking at this. Let me show you what I'm seeing. This end right here is really close to that edge. So I got to be careful not to break it right there. Let me change my camera view real fast. Okie doke. We're going to start the other forge, but first I got to unhook the mailbox. Close the tank. Alrighty. And here I thought I was getting all kinds of clever by using the smaller forge because it's much more efficient and I use less propane and it gets a little bit, I don't know why I'm moving that. I don't need to move that. And it's a little bit hotter. I just needed to switch regulators is all I needed to do. Switch burners. Okay. Let's tighten this up. Goodness gracious. Alrighty. No foul smell. We're good to go. Hey, Christy. Welcome to the stream. There we go. All right. We have successfully switched forges. Let's heat this guy up. And we're going to continue opening that circle. You know what? I totally remembered something that we did this weekend that was kind of fun. So we went to the archery range. And the archery range is at a park that's next to a Walmart. So we went to the Walmart because I wanted to use the bathroom before I ended up having to use the park bathrooms. And because the park bathrooms don't have sinks, but the Walmart bathroom does. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We actually went and got a few more things for the van. We've started putting together a kitchen, like a mini kitchen. So we got a camp stove. It's like a 2-burner propane stove. And we got some shelf paper. Or I guess not paper, it's like shelf grippers. So that anything that we store on our shelves won't move around while we're driving. And what else did we get? Yeah. So now we can cook out of the van, which is pretty exciting. We wanted to be able to cook our own meals and not have to go out to eat every time we're going camping. So that's really exciting. We're gonna be eating full meals like sketty and steaks and stuff out of the van. It's about a 100-meter walk down to the shop. I've got enough daylight now to go turn the pump on to fill our water tanks. I'm tempted to light a fire while I'm there. I mean, you know, if it's not a danger to leave it unattended, I mean, sure. I've done that before where I've come out to the shop early, like before the stream, and I will turn on all of the heaters. I won't turn on the forges because I like to be around while they're going, but you know, if I don't have to pay that close of attention to the heaters. This year, though, I lost my heater. I don't know what we did with it when we were moving stuff. It might be in the cold shop. It might be in the house. Oh, I know where it went. It is in the house. Are you going to have to unload the van to be able to sleep in it? No, actually. So the bed that we have loaded in the van is like 18 inches off of the floor. So that's like half a meter off the floor. And so we have a whole bunch of bins that will just slide right under the bed. So all of the things that we have, like all of our storage bins and stuff, are slid underneath of the bed. And then we have a desk that fits between the bulkhead and the bed. And you can actually also put a shelf that we found. So we've got a desk, a shelving unit on one wall in between the bed and the driver's side bulkhead. So yeah, it is a whole bunch of Tetris. So we have plenty of space in there to like sit on the floor. We've been bringing the cat out to kind of explore and get used to the area. And he's got plenty of space to sprawl out and sleep, or he could, you know, jump up on the bed. So I need to get a nice, like, just a pan. I'll probably try and do a mini tour of the van for one of our shorts this week, because I keep promising you guys that I'll give you a tour of the van, and I just haven't done it yet. I might need to hire you to organize my shop garage. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Well, I mean, look what I've done with my own shop, you know? I'm good when I have to be, but otherwise, you know, if I've got plenty of space, I just toss things everywhere. I mean, you guys haven't even seen what's going on top of my kiln over there. It's covered in, like, just junk. I'll need to move all the junk when I get to the point where I want to temper our axe, but for the moment, you know, it's all piled up. Hold my beer. Bluesy, are you gonna organize Corwin's shop or mine? You could. I'll let you guys organize my shop. Maybe one day, you know, we'll do an entire stream and I'll just like organize my shop or reorganize it. It'll just be a cleaning stream. So we've got an ad that's going to start in about a minute and a half, and I think I'm actually going to try and open up our hairpin a little bit more before that ad. So let me, or no, actually, you know what? I've been talking long enough that I need to wait until the ad is over. Sure, it will be clean. You won't have anything left, but it will be clean. Oh, you're going to clean out my shop. Clean me out. Okay. I suppose that's fair. You know, I got to pay you to clean, right? That's a good, you know, a good payment. All of my equipment for a clean shop. So once this ad is over, I will do my next heat. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to be opening up the slit that I created all the way. And I don't think it's going to take that much longer to do. So hopefully it'll work out for us. If you watched my stream, you would see how messy my shop is. I feel like every blacksmith shop is a given degree of messy. It kind of comes with the territory. At the moment, I'm a little drunk. Sorry. Armistice is a bad day for me. I can imagine. All right. So I switched tongs because this will make it a little bit easier to maneuver our piece. Add time. Show me a clean shop and I will show you a shop owner that does not get anything done, right? I need to clean up at least part of my shop before I'm comfortable streaming. Right? I feel like... So I used to have this system. Maybe I should wait. I'll wait until the ad is over, and then I'll tell you guys about my system. And we'll also do another heat because, you know, that's why I'm here. We're not here just to talk. We got to do some blacksmithing too. Got to fit it in between the conversation lulls, right? I feel like we're getting to the point, though, where, you know, it's a just chatting stream with a little bit of blacksmithing in it. So I used to do this thing where I'd start a project, right? And then I would leave or everything that I was working on with the project. If I was done for the day, I would just leave. I wouldn't clean anything up. That way, when I came back out to the shop, everything would be exactly where I left it, and then I could just keep on moving, and I wouldn't have to, like, pull everything out and whatever. And then, because if I had just done that and never cleaned, I'd never be able to find anything or move around. So it used to be that I would clean up between each project, but I'm not as good about that as I am, or as I used to be. Nowadays, I clean up my shop really, really quickly between streams if I have to. All right, let's do another heat. If I can get this to work. as I lose my grip. We're going to get some more heat. But we're getting there. It's not quite a circle, but it is an open smiley face now. But yeah, like I said, I used to clean up between projects. And it was kind of like different because I would do 2 projects at one time that I was always working on. That way, you know, anytime there was a time where I would hurry up and wait, is what I like to call it, when you have to wait for something to heat or you wait for something to dry or, you know, whatever, cool, whatever, what have you, I would be working on something else. So if I was making 1 chair, I was making 2 chairs. If I was making 1 bench, I was making 2 benches. Or, you know, whatever else. There are times where I was doing multiple, like, different pieces as well. But, you know, you get more done if you fill the empty spaces. Now here, I fill the empty spaces with chit-chat. I clean my shop when I'm finished doing something, but as a farmer, I usually have 7 or more projects going. You know how it is. If you get stuck in a project, you do something else. Yes. You know, it's the hurry up and wait. You know, if you can't progress anymore on one thing, go and find something else to progress with. There's always something to do. All right, let's do another heat. It's not taking long to work on this. Or, I mean, to heat. All right, so we're turning this around, and I don't think you guys can see that right this second, but it'll be all right. Whoa, as I throw things around. That works too, right? Maybe I should go back to my other tongs. It'll make it easier. So that's where we're at now. It looks like I need to either tear this open or maybe use a chisel to complete that. But I need to open this up and turn it into an O. Yeah, I have 6 implements and 2 tractors, but I'm working on at the moment. That is a lot. I normally only work on 2 things at once, because any more than that, and I get really confused. I have gotten to this point where I am about 2 weeks out on my edits. So I already have this week's edit already done. I'm still working on next week's edit, but I also am thinking about the week after next edit. But any further than that, and I feel like I would get really, really confused about what was going on when. Because I have a short attention span. All right, I'm going to change the angle of the camera, and we're going to move it on the other side. Yeah, but I've been doing farm implements longer than you've been alive. Well, I mean, practice makes perfect. If you've been doing it for like 40 years or whatever, 30 years, 20, however long, I mean, it becomes second nature at that point. And so let me actually go over here. I can get more of the anvil if I come over here. So then it kind of becomes like it's less, you know, it's less hard to do things, you know, because you're more practiced at it. There we go. See? Yes, more practice. All right, so now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to stick it right in there. And I'm going to try and use it to open up that little section that didn't get all the way through. Hopefully it'll do what I want. Let's try this. Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Maybe, probably. Seems likely. Haha! So we ended up managing to do it. So the next thing that we're gonna do, I guess we're gonna heat it up again, is the next thing that we're gonna do. Take that out of there. Like a good blacksmith. I feel like I'm a little bit safer working on the horn, even if I have but I really should have taken out the hot cut before I started working on the horn. It's hard to remember sometimes, you know? So I am finally starting to get nice and warm now that I've got the big forge going. It's starting to get comfy in here. I'm not fighting shivering anymore. That's exciting. I do absolutely love this new plaid though, or like flannel though. It's got this nice like, they call it Sherpa, which I'm not entirely sure why they call it Sherpa, but it's really nice and warm. So the flannel is warmer than my hoodie is, and so it's really convenient to have gotten two free, right? And they match my wardrobe. Except for my apron. I feel like nothing matches my apron. It's like bright yellow. Such a crazy color. One of these days, I'm gonna get like, I'm gonna get T-Star leather to make me one. And then I will have a fancy, pretty apron. Flannel matches everything. It does, because there are so many different colors in it. You know, it matches my pants, and it matches my shirt. I like it. All right, another heat. Oh no, I kind of got it like a little bit turned in there. Let's see if I can't pull it out. Whoops. I think I'm going to change tongs again. It's going to make it a lot easier to pick it out of here with the other set of tongs. These ones. And then I'll stick those there. That'll work. Sanada Seppa. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Oh no. Oh, why oh no? These tongs, I know. See, my problem is these are like the first tongs that I ever made like 16 years ago. And look at them. They like wobble so badly that it makes it hard to grab anything. They worked in the beginning, but as they've aged, they're so poorly built that they just didn't age well. The "oh no" was a comment you said about burning my piece. Well, I'm glad I didn't burn my piece. Be like a true smithy. Use your calluses to take out the hot iron. I mean, I would totally do that. I would totally do that. However, the butler would be very, very upset with me. Very upset with me, because then if I, stuck my hand in, I'd have to go to the emergency room, to dress the burns. And that would be very, very expensive. So I'm going to try and save some money and use the tongs. Heat them up and smack the rivet to tighten them. See? I've done that so many times that the rivet's heads are like flat on it. Like I can't really tighten them anymore. Super flat. So I made another set of them, right? But the problem is I love the 90-degree like little V grooves in these tongs, and I don't have it. I need to make another set that has that. So new rivet. I mean, yeah, I could definitely drill it out and then put a new rivet in. Or I could just make a brand new set, It's been a little while since we've made a set of tongs, right? A new tool might be nice, but the old one is always the one you love. I know, right? Welcome in, the Hook Wizard. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining the chat. All right, I'm going to do another heat. I'm going to see if I can't hang on to this thing. And then after that, I think I might actually change the angle of the camera again, because we're starting to get a little bit weird because I'm working on the horn again. Okay. All right, so we're starting to get a little bit more round. I need to hammer directly on the little, I don't know, corners of this circle to kind of get rid of the corners, I guess, and turn it more round. Right now we've kind of got like a Pepsi symbol, something like that. I have bought a dozen new carving knives in the last couple of years, but always go back to the old one, right? You get used to something and there's no replacing it. The one that your hand has formed to, right? There are some tongs I wish I made better in the first place. Like my first tongs got way too thin on the handle, but the head was probably the best I've made. So they almost cut to my hand when used without gloves. Ooh. I have a few that are like that too. Which one is it? These guys. Somebody convinced me that what I needed to do was take some flat bar and kind of hammer it down a little bit, thicken it out, and then I could just twist the like grippers, and they worked beautifully. They do, but they hurt my hand because it's too thin this direction. And yeah, so I need to like maybe put scales on it or something, like Bluesy said. Wooden handles. My handle is thinner. Wow. But yeah, you could totally add scales to it, make it bigger or twisted or something. I could put a twist in those handles. That's a good idea. Would that cost me too much length? I think I have plenty of length on these. You know? I mean, if you compare the two tongs, you know, I got plenty of space for a twist. I don't know though if it would help when I like really grip them closed, you know, because when you got something big, you kind of have to like really hold them closed sometimes when you're like at the end, and that it still might hurt. I don't know. It might not. It might work. All right, let's do another heat. Oh wait, I promised you guys I would change the angle so that the horn was a little bit easier to see. So let's move this way, and then we're gonna move up too. And then I'm gonna focus the camera so that you guys can actually see it. There we go. Okay. If you twist the handles 90, you would lose the grip to flex. That's true. Do you have tongs that have a little loop piece to keep them locked? I don't have any, but I've worked with them before and they're amazing. I love them. Do they need to be drawn down to round? They probably do, honestly. That would probably help me quite a bit. I need to turn this over and do the same thing with the other side. We've lost one of the corners on that side. Now we need to lose the corner on that side. We also need to keep it nice and flat. So back in the heat. We're getting close to the point where I'll be able to finish these with a Dremel, grinding a little bit of the shaft around. There's a little bit of flashing from where I used the chisel. There's always just that little tiny end that I feel like I need to grind off. This is made of one piece or two pieces welded together. This is one piece of stock. What I did is I started with a piece of 1/4 inch stock at about 6 inches long, and I cut it in half with a chisel, like this. So it's a single piece, and then this guy right here is the pin that holds it together. Right on, yeah. Heat them up, jam a couple pieces of broomstick on there, I guess. Yeah, probably. I've got a few others that I've used to replace that particular set, so I mean, I don't use it often, but every once in a great while, that set is pretty useful. So yeah, this piece is supposed to be inspired by by a black hole, like the interstellar black hole, and it is a hairpin. It's not working out quite the way I wanted it to, but it's good enough. I should be able to use a grinder and some files to clean it up and make it look real nice. All right, let's do another heat. Now Now this one I have to be a little bit careful with, because what I did here is it's starting to rip. Whoops. As I drop it. So it's really starting to rip. So I've got to make sure that I make up for that. All right, well, more heat because reasons. Because dropsy. Some days, you know, I gotta get that drops, or like that dropsy like compilation that you guys told me I should do. You know, a short where it's like every time that I drop my piece, more heat is needed. Mo heat, mo heat. Needs more fire. I got an emote for that. I got an emote for that. It's this one. There it is. Needs more fire. Although I kind of wish it wasn't my, you know, because I was dropping things. All right. I haven't forged in months, but I had a wild dream the other night that I apparently had made spears and stuff. Spears. That sounds like a lot of fun. I bet, because like everybody I talk to about like arrowheads and spears say the socket is so incredibly difficult to do. Maybe one day I'll try my hand, you know, just because, for reasons. Let's try another heat. See if this time I don't drop it. As I get my tongs caught in my apron. That's not cool. All right, we've got a decent circle going. Not too bad. Not exactly how I wanted that to go, but it's a thing. So this is the hairpin for it. So I think the next thing that I need to do is probably actually cut off. I don't know if you guys can see this at this point. There's a long section here that I'm gripping this by. I need to cut that off. All right, we're gonna have to switch tongs again. But I'm gonna put this in the heat first. Ah. Everyone needs a spear for when feral pigs run through your garden. Ooh, feral pigs are like super, super scary. I think it's because I watched like 4 Japanese movies and that lasted 2 hours each, involving a lot of melee and spears. Interesting. I really enjoy like Japanese samurai movies. They're a lot of fun. There were other weirder elements in the dream, though, that were not related to anything I know. I feel like that happens sometimes, you know? Your brain just starts throwing random things in a blender to create a nice dream. So we've got an ad coming up in about a minute. So once that is done, I will do another heat on that, and then I'll probably also do a heat on this guy. So I'm going to put this in the forge. But out of the way. This will work. Or will those work? Both will work. But I think these are going to work the best, unfortunately. The ones that I don't want to work the best are the ones that in this case probably will. But we are almost done with this hairpin, or at least the forging portions of it. It's going to need a lot of cleanup, a lot of grinding to make it nice and pretty. I have a dream scenario where the world had been nuked or something, and I got out of the Navy carrier into a swamp filled with big crocodiles or something. So my dreams get really wild at times. Man, I always dream that I am being chased by something. I'm just running. I'm always running. I don't know why. Sometimes I stop running and I turn around to face whatever it is, but it never comes. So maybe I'm just running away from nothing. And now there's some of you that are probably like, I know what psychological damage Ray has. All right. I don't remember my dreams. I feel like that's probably sometimes for the best. A lot of times I don't remember my dreams either. We have some ads going right now, so once the ads are done, I'll talk a little bit more about what's going on in chat. I don't know why I'm so tired. Like I said, I didn't do much this weekend, and I am still tired. One of these days I'll get a restful night of sleep, I promise. Goodness gracious. So Knots doesn't remember his dreams. See, there's a lot of times that I don't remember my dreams, but occasionally I feel like when I'm dreaming in the early morning, sometimes I remember those dreams. Sanaton says, I have a lot of somewhat horror dreams where something terrible is chasing me and I'm trying to survive. See, that's kind of what I dream about sometimes. Or, I'm being chased by like a military or something sometimes. I don't know. It's just always me running. Maybe I'm running to something. Like I said, when I turn around, there's usually nothing there. What was I gonna... There's something that I wanted to say, and I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna say. I hate when I do that. Alright, let's do another heat then. Maybe eventually I'll remember. If not, it's alright. I need to cut this end off here. And that way we can kind of maybe bend it over. So maybe I will do one more heat to try and bend this over, and then I'll cut it off. I'm pulling out another piece. It's this piece. Oh, that didn't help. Except it did. It did help. Now it looks more straight, right? So let's turn this over. We're going to cut that off. Make it a little bit of a shorter pin. And then I think if somebody invents how to record people's dreams in movie form, I'd probably have some decent storylines. I think a lot of people would have some decent storylines. All right, so for the next heat, I'm not going to go over to the close-up camera because I'm going to do a little bit of work here on the post vise. Like I said, I want to move that like little stick on the end of our round section a little bit more straight in line with the diameter that we've made. So I'm debating whether I want to use a tiny ball peen hammer like this, or if I want to use a pair of scroll tongs. So I'm going to get both of those out, and we're going to try it. All right. Like I said, I'm not going to change the view of the camera just yet. Get on up in there. All right. So now I'm going to see if I can't do this, but that's not working very well. So I am probably going to do all right, we're going to need another heat to do this. We've gotten it a lot more straight, but it's still not quite as straight as I want it to be. True that. Maybe it would become pastime watching dreams being streamed. I don't know that I would want anybody in my head while I'm dreaming, or like in general, let alone while I'm dreaming. Because I feel like if you had the technology to watch people's dreams, then you would also have the technology to just like look inside people's brains. And I mean, I don't know that I really want people to be able to see what's going on in my head all the time, you know? Sometimes I have some errant thoughts that I'm never going to act on, but you know, it's a thing. My dreams would only be good for extremely abstract movies, which run on some art channel at 3 a.m. I relate. Mine would be anywhere between K16 and K18 plus. I'd want mine to be edited. It is fun how it all makes total sense while it's in the dream, and in hindsight, it's 100% BS. I have this like I can lucid dream, right? And so if I'm aware that I'm dreaming and I'm dreaming that there's something that I don't like, I can change what's happening in the dream at will, and that's a skill, you know? So like, you know, if I have one of those dreams where you're like naked in high school or whatever, or like in class, you know, I look down and oh goodness, I know I'm dreaming. So then I dream myself, like I choose to dream myself going to my locker and finding clothes that I can put on, right? But I mean, who wants to see, your naked in high school dreams? Have you truly dreamed if you don't wake up sweating and thinking, WTF just happened in my dream and what's it about? That's a cool thing I read about, but I cannot do it mostly. See, like I said, it works mostly when I am only half asleep, right? And I developed the skill because when you're dreaming, physics doesn't like function, because it's a dream. Anything can happen in a dream. And I got to this point where I was dreaming about my art projects when I was in college, and I always had these problems. And so I would lucid dream solutions to the problems for my pieces. And I mean, it's really a crapshoot, right? Because sometimes you lucidly dream the perfect solution, and because physics doesn't function in your dream, you can't do it. And sometimes it has so helped. It has helped so much that to help me find the solution to my problem. The other day, I woke up with my heart pumping and probably adrenaline in my bloodstream due to how violent horror dream was. Ooh, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. We're going to do a second attempt at straightening out this corner. And like I said, I tried it again and it didn't want to work right, but that's all right. We can do it that way. All right, it's a lot straighter. So more straight. Most straight. But we got a thin section right here, like I said. We might have to weld that in with like an actual weld bead. We'll see what we can do with that. More heat. One more heat. Maybe 2 more heats. I'm going to go with 2 more heats on that part. And our next heat, or the next thing that we're going to do, is I'm going to pull out the pin itself, the actual pin. And we're going to cut it off a little bit. I think I want to cut it here. All right, now we've shortened this and we're going to put another point on it. Uh-oh. I'll put this over here then. I left my quench bucket over at the bench grinder. Oopsie. More power, or in this case, more heat. Some part overactive imagination. Some part watching too much stuff in a short span of time, and sleep is kind of like those places never existed. Also dreamed a memory. Dreaming a memory can be jarring in and of itself, Also scary when you have some old memories in a dream, which are just not there. In some dreams, I went back to some places which I noticeably remembered from childhood. After waking up, I realized those places never existed and also dreamed the memory. Hey, Dr. Optimal. We're doing all right. It's not working 100% the way I want it to, but it's working well enough. I think it's possible. And I'm going to show you just how possible it is. By probably grabbing this out, maybe, or maybe not. Okay. Okay, we're having troubles. okay? Fine. That's a little bit better. Not too bad. All right, now I'm going to cut that chunk off and probably call it done. And now we're going to put a point on the end of the pin. And I've kind of wasted a whole bunch of time today, so we probably won't get to our other hairpin, but that's all right. All right, all done with this guy. I'll put that over there. And then or I could drop it. That works too, guys. That works too. All right, I'm going to take an extra heat. I apologize. I have a recurring dream of somewhere I've never been to, but it feels like I've been there before. Now, then I realize I will find a place that I'm visiting, and it will be almost a match, and then, which then triggers anxiety, but none of the places have been quite right. In a pinch, said hairpin can be a self-defense tool. It definitely can be, right? It's pretty long and pointy. I have an order I need to do, which is a hair stick with bunny ears. How would you personally go about it? I think it would definitely depend on, like, if it's just the bunny ears or if you're doing like a full bunny head, right? I feel like if I were doing a bunny head, I might approach it similarly to how you would do a normal animal head, where I would almost cut in the bunny ears, but instead of pointing them out, like if you were doing like a longhorn, you just kind of leave them there, and then you forge weld in the head. If you're just doing the ears, I would probably flatten it out, cut it in half, and start shaping in the ears individually, kind of like a fork, but like, you know, you'll want to flatten it out like two leaves that are stuck together. That's how I would go about it. That's how my brain would organize it. But I mean, there are so many blacksmiths in here or in the channel that, I mean, if anybody else has any ideas, please feel free to chime in. Like kind of a premonition feeling. Interesting. Just so everyone knows, Ray is only dropping pieces because she's making sure that gravity is still working as expected. I mean, yeah, isn't that why cats drop things? I have a cat. My kitty is my baby. Maybe he's rubbed off on me. Maybe that's why I drop things so often. Yes, almost like deja vu, but not quite the same feeling. Yes, a daily physics check. But I've had dreams kind of like that, where it just feels like deja vu, and then in the end, it just isn't. You know? Things are different. But it's hard to put it in words. You've all heard of drop forged. Yes, everybody's heard of drop forged. That's just what I'm doing, right? I'm just drop forging stuff. All right, let's do another attempt at this. At this cut. I'm trying to cut it. I promise. All right. Ah! Another drop. All right, you know what? I think I've cut it enough that I can probably just like, nope, I can't. There we go. Now it should be cut enough that I can just like, yay. All right, now I have to fix it because cutting it off like that kind of ruined my circle. So next heat, we're gonna fix that. Because dropping thin pieces of metal. Oh, we're still looking at the horn? Dang it. I'm so sorry, guys. Ugh, my bad. I can't believe that I'm sorry. I'm trying. I was just watching the zoomed out cam, but I thought you might want to know. Yeah, I do want to know. But I mean, if we're on the horn, it's fine because our next heat's going to be on the horn. Let me make sure that I'm still recording though. There was a Buffy the Demon Hunter earlier today. We have Ray the Gravity Checker. Yes. Gravity Checker. Alright, so not Friday and not tomorrow. I don't know why, but Wednesday stream is going to be beginning the raising stake. So the raising stake, I kind of talked to you guys a little bit about it earlier this week and a little bit earlier today, but I'm going to pull out one of my stakes so you guys can kind of see it again. Remind you what I'm talking about. Okay, so Wednesday I'm going to start making a new raising stake. So this is what a raising stake looks like. This one is designed for kind of shallower bowls. And the reason for that is there isn't the stake ends right here. It ends at an angle. It doesn't go all the way around. So it makes it a lot harder to get to the bottom and get a good bottom going. So we're going to make a new one so I can make a nice long base. So it's going to look like this. And I'm going to put this over here so that I don't have to go into the cold shop to get it again. Alrighty. Let's do the thing. So that's what's going to happen, or we're going to start working on that on Wednesday. And we're going to start using the piece of stock that's just sitting on top of the piece of A2 that's just sitting on top of the sawhorse there. Okay. That did not help me at all. Not even a little. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get it. You know, I should have just done my other design first. Time for the thing. Yeah, I definitely should have started with the other design first. It'll be all right, though. I'm going to put that in there. Maybe we'll get a little bit of time. Maybe we'll get a little time. All right. That's about as good as I'm going to be able to get it, I think. All right, you know what? I'm going to do that so that you guys don't have to stare at the empty anvil while I oh, there it is. So it kind of goes like that. It's a little bit hot, so I'm having a little trouble gripping it, but that's the circle. And that's the pin. I'll have to do a lot of cleanup work on it. But those are done for the moment. We'll see if I can make them look nice, or if it's just, you know, a lost cause. Ugh. Alrighty. Now I'm going to move the camera and I'm going to do as speedy a version of a hairpin as I can of the other type that I wanted to do. We'll see how well it works. We got about a half an hour left in the stream. More heat. If that pin had fingers, it would be a giant hand of the king from Game of Thrones. Could you use the pin without the loop also? Yes, you could. I have seen some hairpins like that that are just the pin, or is this one too heavy for that? The auto mod can be super dumb. I have no idea why the auto mod didn't like that. I don't know either. You definitely could use that pin all by itself. It is a little bit on the heavy side, but it's not too bad. And I mean, yes, you can totally use a single hairpin to hold or to help hold things together. A lot of people do, and that may end up being what happens with that piece. The circle area, like that I wanted to put the hair through, it just didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it to. So it might just be a hairpin by itself. You know, you never know. So we have an ad incoming shortly. So once that ad is done, I will continue working on the drawing down the like this piece of steel. I'm going to try and do as quickly as possible another hairpin. If we do not get this one done in time, then you know, we will probably do it as like intermediate or, you know, in between projects for a little while. Because, like I said, on Wednesday, I want to start the next big project. Whoops. I might actually just leave the camera on the close-up and then do two pieces at one time just so that I can figure out or like so I can try and get it really fast. We'll see. It depends. I don't want to, you know, not chat. So once the ad break ends, we will keep on keeping on. So Dr. Optimal says, when is the full set of plates stream? You said big project, so I was thinking big. See, this is big for me. You know, making the steak, that's big. We will be doing some armor, but not a full set. At least not at once, right? I could see us doing a full set over time, right? So I'm thinking that the first piece that we're going to do is going to be a pauldron. But before we do the armor, we have to make the tools in order to make the armor. So we're making a hammer and a stake so that we can use those to make the armor. Summons the last minute Ray to keep Ray here longer. I might keep myself here longer, to be honest. There is a chance. You know, if I get close enough to finishing this piece, I might do it myself, you know? going to be doing this, I need a different hammer. I'll use this hammer. I would watch you just to make nails, to be honest. I love watching forging no matter what. Mandalorian and Grogu comes out in May. No rush for a full set of Beskar armor. A hammer and a steak. I would love some fries with the steak. I know, right? I am actually considering doing something like that, though, guys. Allowing you guys to pick a pop culture armor. You could do like Mandalorian, or we could do Sephiroth or Cloud. Or a different Mandalorian. Or like, you know, any number of other armor people. Armored characters from pop culture. We got some ASMR going here. Do you visually track the progress when turning the piece like that, or do you kind of count the number of strikes? A little bit of both. As I am placing the piece in the fire, I'm actually measuring it against the other one. Visually and by eye. So you can kind of see that I'm visualizing things. So if I were to go like that, they're not too far off. Now it's going to be a little bit harder because I've already started curling that one. But I also am looking at the thinness of the piece of stock. As I'm going. But I have a whole bunch of bricks inside the forge that help me measure things when I'm just looking at it. If I could get this out of here, that'd be great. Oh, come on. Grab a hold. If I could grab a hold of this, this would be amazing. Ow, and these tongs are getting hot. Ugh. I got a brick in my way. Ugh. You look to see where you need to hit it, and when you turn it 90 degrees, driptimal. Yeah. I think this is called having many irons in the fire at once. Yes, that's the truth. I am grabbing my quench bucket, if that's what I'm doing right now. It's behind the camera, but here it is now. Ugh. These tongs are getting hot. But this is how I used to forge when I was full timing it. All right, let's do this again. There we go. Ouch, much better. Close to where we want to be. not working quite the way I want it to. I think what I'm going to do is I think that I'm actually going to use the scroll tongs for the next heat to kind of curl these out a little bit. And then the other thing I want to do is put the last piece in the fire so it's already heating. Did I just drop my piece? I did. I apologize for how long it's taken me to kind of fight these pieces. I think it is this way. That did not work as well as I wanted it to, but that's all right. I can fix it. We can fix it. Yes, we can. Because we're Bob the Builder. Brains. All right. I'm starting to get a little bit tired, guys. That. That. So that's about where we want it to be. So this is one side. We're going to heat it up one more time to kind of bring those two together a little bit further. Oh, come on, get out of there. I've lost a piece. That's not going to help me. Whoops. There we go. Probably. There we go. There we go. Hey, Jack. Welcome to the stream. We are a little bit hectic right now. I'm trying to finish this piece. Real fast before the end of the stream. All right. Not too bad. That's almost what I want to see. Almost. There we go. All right. 1/3 done. All right, we're gonna heat that again. actually, you know what? Oh, as I drop things, I'm going to turn it this way. That did not work. There we go. It's a little bit better. Getting there, not quite. That's not quite hot enough. Whew. We're getting there. You got this. If you don't, it's Mahalo's fault. True story. I blame the butler just because. I'm making a giant mess, guys. I'm making a giant mess. But the idea for this was to create 2 of these, right? This is probably not quite going to function the way I wanted it to, because what the ideal was that we take 2 of these and turn them into a square knot. So these little loopy-doos go in the opposite side, but I think these are too far apart. I don't think that I'll be able to squeeze them in correctly. How am I going to do this? I kind of screwed it up a little bit. You can kind of tell there. It's a little bit cockeyed. So I'm going to try and fix it if I can. If I can't, I mean, I try, right? Oopsie. was I? Not entirely sure how I want to go about that. I think... I know. I learn. I grow. All right. Gonna snooze the ad since you're gonna be full blast finishing up. Thank you. Gravity check. We need a gravity check. It's always the butler. I guess the butler did it with the hairpins in the forge, right? Okay. Let's make sure I pick this up the right direction. There we go. Much mo better, guys. Much mo better. Check that out. That's not too much different. Okay. Okay. One more thing to do with those. They're not perfect, but they're good enough, I think. I'm starting to get pretty tired, so unfortunately I'm going to have to end the stream here sooner than later. But that's all right. More meat. All right. So they're not exactly the same, but I think it'll do for what I'm trying to do. All right, one more heat on both of those. We'll start with that. I just need to put a slight bend in that. And these are getting hot again. Hey, Lexi. As my dad used to say, same thing, only different. I mean, you know, I do my best. All right. So that's the pin. I think you guys can see that. one last touch. And then we'll be done. That's probably not quite enough of a bend on that, but I think it's close enough that it'll work. That's the beauty of handmade. They're never exactly the same way. That's boring. Yes. All right. So like I said, so we've got this side, and then I felt like touching the hairpin or the hair stick, and you know that's probably a problem. So let's do this so that I can touch things. All right, we've got a hair stick. We've got a little like loop-de-doo. And I don't think this is gonna work the way I wanted it to. But that's alright. That's alright. Come on. Grab on. Tongs, grab on. Yeah, I need another heat. I just need it to be hotter in general. So each of these little guys should go in between there. I think I need to squish this direction a little bit further. And then this guy sits in the center, like so, of them. Like that. All the way through. Alright. We'll turn it this way. That'll make it easier, guys. That'll make it easier. Why didn't I do that to begin with? Because I'm not the smartest sometimes. Okay. So, we have both of these guys. And they're not going to make quite the square knot like I wanted to. I need to curl them more. But they were designed to go like so. And then just like that. So I need to curl these more. But I'm gonna leave that for now. Because I'm super tired, guys. So that's the design. They go like so, and then the hairpin comes in through like so. So I apologize, it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, but thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you Wednesday. Okay. Super duper. Alrighty. Who are we gonna raid? I will rest up and have a great evening. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Even though it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, I'm pretty happy. Thank you guys. Alright, who are we raiding? Okay. Looks like maybe DM you on Facebook. Do I have you on Facebook? Knots? I'll look for you. Okay, cool. Even if it doesn't work out, it's still a fun time. Well, thanks. If I'd drawn it down a little bit further, made it a little bit longer, then it would have been skinnier and I would have been able to bend it a little easier and it would have worked out. I think we're going to go to Mr. Bugatti. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.